Hi, I'm Al Osborne, and I'm here to talk to you today about lean startup principles. And lean startup principles are fundamental to what it is we know about best practices in entrepreneurship. And the question to begin with is how can these principles encourage entrepreneurship and innovation? Well, there are three fundamental things to keep in mind, and I call it BLM: build, learn, and measure. And these things work together. You build something, you find out whether or not it works or it doesn't, that's measuring, and you learn from the measurement. And in learning from the measurement, you're able to then improve the next edition of whatever it is that you're trying to build. Now, building isn't just sort of done in isolation. You're building in response to something that's taking place in the marketplace, that is a need or an identified service for which there's a customer. So we'll come back to that in a minute. But let's go back now and look at what these principles are. Now, let me take my hat off and give you the credit for being here because you're showing smarts. Let's start then with some concepts. The concepts is the idea. There's a need that was unearthed. You thought there was a way to do it. And then what you do is you put in place a prototype. You build a service protocol, or you build a product. And then what you do with that product is very important. That product or service is then tested in the marketplace, and then you get the measurement. Now, what does measurement produce? You've asked customers what they thought about the service, what they thought about the product. You'll be able to develop some data. And the data then gives you information that you need to learn about what was going on so that you can improve your concepts and renew your offer to the marketplace. Now, at each of these particular junctures, there are some interesting things that are taking place. Let me talk about, first of all, this cycle that this build, measure, learn thing is all about. The interventions in the cycle are, first of all, you have to innovate. Your idea that you're building has to be something that's new and different. Difference in the sense that it's another way of thinking about something that's going to be attractive to a customer. And to get you to think about that, we ask you to develop a hypothesis. You have an idea of what this product or service might do in satisfying this need. So that's the first part of the cycle. And then, of course, you put it out there and you measure and you develop the data. But if it works, it's disruptive. It has the potential, therefore, of changing how people thought about that product or service. Now, in perchance that what you find is that you're not disruptive, that is to say, it really didn't work as you thought it might, given your hypothesis, that's okay. You don't need to abandon everything. What you need to do is what we call pivot. What you do then, based on the information you have, you've learned something, you decide to try something different. And that's what pivoting is all about. It is taking the information that you've learned from your, what we're going to call, minimal viable offer to the marketplace, the thing that you tested, and you learn, and you come back then with another set of hypotheses. Let's go a little bit further here and how you do this. The important part, of course, is understanding customers, because those are the people that are going to be inquiring about the service or the product. So you first need to develop a way of discovering concepts. We call that searching in the customer development field. So you first engage in customer discovery. This customer here now that is going to try out things, you've got an idea of how your hypotheses as they're generated would do. And then you validate the use of those customers, and if it didn't work, and if it works, you really might persevere and continue all the way on through. But if it didn't work, maybe you pivot, as I indicated a minute ago, as you tested out your hypothesis. Or if it really doesn't work and you've got to give up, then you might admit to the fact that you didn't get the validation that you wanted, and so therefore you perish. Now, what has happened here is, well, you've tried to be sure that your offer to the marketplace, which was in itself a hypothesis that you tested, was really going to work. Now, if it does work, then you really now have to begin the process of execution. And this is where a lot of people fall down in their entrepreneurial pursuits. Execution simply means that what you're going to do is take that offer and refine your hypothesis And in refining your efforts, you're now in a position to start building a business. To this point, I am sure you have not used many resources, but what you've been engaged is in the process of testing. But now you see that really we do have something, and so now we're going to put in place a business. And that means building the functional infrastructure that's necessary to support the development of your idea or your product, and then growing to scale if it really works. And so you see here then the whole process of execution now is rapidly moving forward with that minimum viable offer that you thought was successful as you execute going forward. In summary then, it is really all about paying close attention to the customer. That's absolutely critical. You must adjust your offer by what it is your customer tells you their needs and wants are. Lean startup principles allow you to do that economically, but the result of this process is data and measurement, so it's analytically intensive. And you're actually thinking about what it is that you're doing, and based upon what you've learned, you revise, you promote, you develop a better understanding of the customer experience. You pivot, or maybe you modify your offer, and you learn again. And by always learning, you're building what you hope will converge to the kind of offer that the marketplace actually is looking for. That is what these lean startup principles are all about. And that is what is now the current practice in entrepreneurial venture initiation. Next, we're going to be talking about business model development.